It's day 28 of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and Russian troops are now inside the city of Mariupol, which has been subject to a siege for weeks. It comes, however, amid new revelations from a senior US defense official, which suggests that Russia's combat power in Ukraine is waning. Reports suggest that heavy losses of personnel and weaponry, on top of morale issues amid the stalled advance to Kyiv. An estimated 3.4 million refugees have now fled the Russian invasion of Ukraine, according to the UN, with a large majority of that number being women and children. Well, joining me now is Bohdan Nahalo, Chief Editor of the Kyiv Post. Welcome to the programme. Thank you for making time for us this morning. While Mariupol seems to be in a very desperate situation, Kyiv seems to be holding out. What's your assessment in terms of whether or not the Russians will actually be able to take the capital?
No, the Russians won't be able to take the capital. It's quite clear that they've run out of steam. They're digging in all around the capital, many areas around it. But, it's been a complete, in English would say with the letter B, something up. And incompetence of the highest order. So yes, they've got the armor, they've got the personnel, but they haven't got the morale, the tactics, the logistical support that was needed, and the planning. As you recall, Putin and Lavrov expected this blitzkrieg would last 3 or 4 days at most. They are not being allowed into the capital. Mariupol represents what they thought was the soft underbelly of Ukraine along the Sea of Azov. And even there, in the Russian-speaking parts of Ukraine, with heavy Russian ethnic groups concentrated there, they've not managed to win over the support of the locals. Where they've taken small towns or cities like Melitopol, Kherson, people are coming out in their thousands telling the invaders to go home. So there's an element of both demoralization, a loss of as to tactics and strategy, and all that's left to them is to pound the cities with rockets and missiles, a coward's way out, as it were. So right now, I think they're stuck. And if you want my take on it, in the first days, I would have said Putin has shot himself in the foot. But I think that as a month has gone by, this colossus with clay feet has blown off one of its legs and is tottering right now.
It is remarkable looking at how the Western world in particular viewed Russia as sort of an erratic yet strong power. That idea that Russia is a strong power seems to be waning. They're using old Soviet kit that's breaking down. Their logistics are wavering, and indeed their soldiers' morale is so low. Many of them seem confused as to why they're even there. I wonder, thinking about what the Ukrainian people feel now, particularly those who speak Russian, who have family ties to Russia. This invasion, far from trying to unite those peoples, it's pushing them apart, is it not?
No, look, the Russian narrative is that Ukraine has always been a divided society between Ukrainian nationalists and Russian patriots. Rubbish. Ukraine is a multi-ethnic country with the Ukrainians predominating, but a tolerant democratic society. Remember, our president was a Russian-speaking, Jewish by origin, elected by 73% of the population in a democratic election, mainly by the Russian speakers in the south and the east. So he represents, shall we say, the political nation that Ukraine has become, rather than one based on ethnographic, ethnocentric concepts. And what has happened is, just as in 2014, when there was the Revolution of Dignity, when we threw out a Russian-backed kleptocrat, which really annoyed the Russians because they felt that with him in power, Yanukovych, they could prevent us from moving westward. And you remember the whole Maidan, the whole Revolution of Dignity was about preventing Ukraine signing an association treaty with the EU. After that, they seized Crimea, they seized the Donbass, Russian-speaking areas, imposed their will. But at the same time, it was at the cost of uniting what was left of Ukraine, 4/5 or 5/6 or whatever it was. And this invasion has come not just as a shock, it has appalled the Ukrainian population that somebody in the 21st century can use such brutal methods, Hitler-like methods, and then to have the gall to say that they are denazifying Ukraine, a democracy that has elected 5 or 6 presidents in the last 30 years, as opposed to a country where, Putin is there forever. So when they say that, we look at them as modern day fascists, and we're united even more by the desire to be part of the European family of nations. It's not simply an economic motive. It's not visa-free travel. It's not trade. It's about security and civilizational values. And let me just say, on behalf of my colleagues in the Kyiv Post, thank you to Britain, thank you to British journalists for not only being interested, but countering fake news and for showing realities as they really are.